Blaine and Mickey, and you know who, because when you hear that music, it means that he is here. Coach Dave McGinnis. If you need great health care coverage at an affordable price tag, let Farm Bureau Health Plans coach you through it. They've been protecting Tennesseans for 75 years, and they've been bringing us Coach Mack, well, all the time. Coach Mack, let's just start with this. TCU, Horned Frogs. Should they be in this top four of the college football playoff when these seedings get unleashed tonight?
All I have to say about that is one word: frog.
Oh,
Man, how much fun is it for you to see
some
your
people
guys?
say one word like ball.
Yeah, there are
frog.
some people saying other words instead of frog. But how special is it to see your team have the place where you played, had that blood, sweat, and tears that you love so well? What's it like to see them roll through a season like this so far?
Well, it's really great. I mean, anybody that knows that has played ball and has an alma mater that all is doing well. I mean, it's great. I mean, I get hits all the time from people down there. I've got a lot of people in Fort Worth, Texas, and all around Texas that are Frog alumni, and they pay attention to the Titans because I'm up here, and then they know I pay attention to the Frogs. But it's a pretty happy place in Fort Worth right now. This is a huge week, though, for the Frogs. Going to Austin to play Texas. Huge week.
Sure is.
They've got Texas, Baylor, then Iowa State. Those are the last three, for Sonny Dykes. And so, believe me, as I said, I am all in, and the only word I've got for you right now is frog.
You played in the Magic that is the Southwest Conference, and sometimes you and I get into this a little bit when we get to talk about stuff and talk about the past with each other because I love history. Who did you want to beat the most when you were playing at TCU? Was it Texas?
Well, it was there were two. We never beat Texas when I was playing. We beat A&M. We never. The two teams that really, because at one time when I was playing there in the Southwest Conference, a couple of years, Texas was number one in the nation. Arkansas was number two.
Yeah.
So those were really, really good football teams. And my 3 years that I played there, never beat Texas, never beat Arkansas, beat everybody else. So I mean, it was always a big deal. When you played both Texas and Arkansas. But if you want the rivalry for TCU at the time in the Southwest Conference, it was right down the interstate at SMU. That was the big one.
Boy, pick up that Dave Campbell magazine and read all about all you guys. I used to do that, and I loved it. Loved catching up with Coach Mack. Let's ask you this. How did you love, or what did you love and not love about Malik Willis' second start in the NFL, Coach?
Well, I mean, he is still learning about what this game is and about. Look, he's been thrown into two very different types of scenarios in his first two starts. Down there at Houston, it's an entirely different. I mean, it's a division game, but it's an entirely different environment than what he was in up there on Sunday night in Kansas City. And so I think, look, anything that he's going through right now is going to help him with experience. And the thing that I've done a lot of radio shows since we got back. We got back at 3:30 in the morning Monday, so I've been cramming some radio in between, Monday morning and now. But what I will say is this: the guy that we played against, and who to me is probably at the top of his game right now, and he's kind of overtaken. I think he's overtaken Allen up there in Buffalo too as the dude. But anyway, that being said, that guy sat for a whole year and watched games like this. And that was kind of the plan for Malik Willis, but it didn't work out like that.
Yeah.
And so he's experiencing some things that he's going to learn from, and some of them are painful, but all of them will be beneficial.
Always beneficial catching up with Coach Mack. He joins us always on Tuesday in hour number 2 of this program.
Well, Coach, I guess, man, I guess how concerned are we? I mean, is Tannehill going to even play here the next couple of games? I'm assuming that he's not going to even play up here, so we got to get ready for Malik Willis and Logan Woodside time.
I have no idea what Tannehill's situation is. I mean, they took it up until game time up there in Kansas City, and I know that he practiced more last week, Blaine, than he did the week of the Houston game, which he was not out there at all. And so we'll see. I mean, I don't know. And I'm sure, look, they're going to be on a lot of walkthrough rest this week because that was a gut punch, that game. That was a very physical, brutal game. I mean, it really was. Defensively, all of those players were just, straining and grinding till the end, and they played over 100 snaps, when you count the penalties in there, because those count on your body.
Yeah.
They don't count in the official stats. But they played 100 snaps, and then of course that offensive line going against what they had up there at Kansas City. That was really a physical game, and plus the night game, and then everything that goes with that, and then getting back finally to your homes at 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning. This is going to be some recovery this week, both physically, mentally, and emotionally. So I mean, that's just what it is in this league, and that was a gut punch, that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt about it. We're on with Coach Mack, giving us the Mack Attack from Titans Radio. I guess kind of go into a little bit because we could only see so much from the TV. I thought the coaches had a great plan on both sides of the ball, really based off of, who was the quarterback. So kind of take us through what the Titans did on the defensive side and what the plan was, and then what their plan was on the offensive side.
Yeah, Blaine. Well, I like, talking to you after you watch it through your eyes, because, you watch it through the eyes of a guy that really studies the game and played the game at a high level. So here's what they did defensively. And I just did a thing for Microsoft highlighting how successful they were starting out in 2 high safeties and then bogeying coverages and dropping down low hole rats, which means a low hole player from different spots. First of all, they matched Kevin Byard on Kelsey. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime they were playing man, they matched Kevin Byard, but he had help. They'd drop a low hole rat either from the onside or the opposite side to help him. And I thought they did as good a job as they could have done. And then the 4-man rush that the Titans put on, especially early in the game when they had some legs underneath them, was outstanding. It was outstanding. And that's the key to being able to play with an offense that high-powered that, I mean, they basically shut down for 3 quarters and 6 minutes. Is you got to be able to play it with 4 rushers and then mix your coverages, and then you have to be able to be willing just to lock up on man and then take away somebody that could really hurt you if you let them have free access, which was Kelsey, which they didn't give him any free access. And anytime that you have a quarterback that is as off schedule as that, you've got to plaster in the back end. Now, the negative side to plastering, once your front gets tired and starts chasing that quarterback, is everybody's got their back turned to him. So I thought their plan was outstanding. Offensively, they're going to run the football. They were going to run the football. And you talk about Malik Willis, he threw a couple of deep shots that should have been caught.
Mm-hmm.
And, in a game like that, where that was a 1-score separation game, up through 7 minutes of the fourth quarter, you got to make those catches. So they had a good plan. They went in there. The thing that you guys know, and I think that I'm not wrong in saying this, that everybody that is associated and with these Titans, I'm talking about fans and anybody else that watches, and especially people that have been invested in these Titans, know you're going to get everything out of those players that they have. And Vrabel did that. It just wasn't enough.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We're on with Coach Mack, giving us the Mack Attack. I have to ask you this because a lot of the callers have been asking this questions, or somewhere there about like, why no carries or not very many carries in the second half? And I gave them my answer, but I'd love to hear from you. You were there in the stadium calling the games. There was different circumstances there, and maybe could have given him the ball a little bit more too. But so kind of give us your take on why that happened.
Well, Steve Spagnuolo started bringing 6 and 7 and 8 up into the box immediately and flogging the gaps. He was firing his backers on run blitzes on first down, and they handed it to him.
Yeah.
Go back and check it. Handed it to him in the second half on first down. And then the other thing that, again, don't get me started on it, but the amount of penalties in the second half
behind the chains
called against the Titans, all of a sudden you're in 1st and 15 or you're in 1st and 20, and then it's a different world.
Yeah.
You're not going to hand it off then. So I think both of those mitigating factors, and as I said, that officiating crew with Clete Blakeman going into the game had called the 3rd most penalties in the league. I think they were trying to get to the number 1 crew that called the most, and that's why I started calling them at the end of and that for both teams. I'm not saying it was tilted one way or the other, but for both teams, that was not a very well officiated ball game. That's why I started calling them Clete and the Clowns on the radio.
I missed that. I'm sure Mickey heard that. One more that we've gotten a lot of traction on with the callers are asking is, not having really, not like this, but not having really true playmakers that can create on their own. How do you manufacture, or how do you, create or game plan to, maybe scheme them open to and then how does that affect you as a play caller?
Well, I mean, it does. I mean, the first thing that has to happen, no matter what scheme, if you've got a team that's going to play man-to-man, which Spags was going to do all the time, then you've got to – if you're talking about receivers getting up, they got to win their one-on-ones. Okay. They've got to win their one-on-ones. I mean, there's no amount of scheming other than you can pick and you can do those types of things, but still you've got to be able to do that within the confines of how much pressure you're getting. And to me, and you saw it, you saw what they were doing defensively. I mean, those dudes can bring heat just like our front can bring heat. And so you've got to win, and when you win, you've got to win immediately. Those throws that Mahomes was making to Juju Smith-Schuster, those throws were out of his hands in 2 seconds. Mm-hmm. They were spinning them. Now, Mahomes really did, even though he threw for 400 yards or however many it was in this ball game, he really didn't beat the Titans throwing. He beat them with running. His legs in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's why they lost the game. Actually, it was that 3rd and 17 or whatever it was that broke the back.
To me, I agree with you, Blaine. To me, that was the fulcrum point of that game. That and the fact that they got 3 shots at him for the 2-point play.
Oh crap! There you have it. There's Coach Mack giving us the Mack attack from Titans Radio.
Coach, you brought up the Mahomes runs, and that's certainly something that Blaine and I have talked about, and everybody who saw the game. Obviously, he's a star player, and he makes plays on the third down conversion and the long touchdown run that he had. Is it in that case? Both times it was to the right, and 99 kind of got washed inside both times and left that whole side of the field open. Is it the outside linebacker's job in that particular play to hold some type of outside contain? Is there supposed to be somebody else over there? Like what's supposed to have or could have happened to have at least prevented a little bit of what happened with those runs?
Yeah, I don't know what the call was, but you always have an edge no matter what defense you have.
Yeah.
And Mike Vrabel said it in his press conference, I believe, that some of the games that they were running, they didn't hold the proper edge, whether it was the penetrator or whether it was the guy coming around or whether it was the guy that initially had the edge.
Yeah.
And so that happens. And the other thing that happened too, they were still able to plaster back there in the back end, and the front was able to run them down until you got to the fourth quarter. I mean, when you got those big dudes playing close to 100 plays, sooner or later, those legs are not going to be as fresh.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
What's the biggest challenge with Russell Wilson coming up Sunday?
Well, he got back on track a little bit in London when they won their game over against Jacksonville. They've had an open date now.
Yeah.
I've coached against Russell Wilson ever since he came into the league. I was in the NFC West with the Rams. We built a defense at the Rams to beat him in Seattle, and particularly his off-schedule ability. He does 2 things really well. He's got off-schedule ability. Now, it's well documented, the struggles that he's had this year. But at his prime, he was a great off-schedule guy, and he could throw the deep ball. And so those are the 2 things you're going to have to concentrate on early on.
There you go, Coach Mack giving us the Mack attack here on Blaine and Mickey.
I guess lastly, before we let you go, Coach, just wanted to get your thoughts on the coach firing Frank Wright and then hiring Jeff Saturday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, 37 years I've been doing this. As I said, I've been in some unusual situations. I was head coach of the Bears for 6 hours and didn't know it for 3.
Yeah.
That's pretty unusual in the history of the National Football League. This might top it. I mean, and again, as I say, it's nothing against Jeff. I mean, to me, the thing that's amazing is that I think that everything that the owner put into beating the Titans in the offseason, and then the Titans being able to run the deck on them this year, I think, somehow, either emotionally, physically, mentally, whatever, I mean, it broke them, and then here we are. I mean, you ask me my reaction to that, everything that's happening up there, because I've got a lot of respect for that franchise, and they got players. I mean, my reaction is wow.
I think you and everybody. Coach Mack, we always say wow when you join us because you always give us great stuff. You got Mack Talk coming up tonight. I know you say wow to that because you love to talk to the fans every week.
We'll have plenty of callers tonight. I'm looking forward to it, talking to every one of them. We got a great group of people that listen, that call in, and, we're still alive and we're working on this thing. So let's go. Let's get it going. This week is about picking it back up. Don't let the last one, which was, pretty taxing for everybody. Don't let it bleed over into this one. Vrabel won't. He's always able to get them back, and I believe in that.
Yes, sir. And we believe in you, Coach Mack. Thank you as always for the time. Fantastic stuff.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Love talking to you.
Yes,
See
sir.
you.
The one and only Mac Talk comes up tonight right here on the Zone at 6 o'clock. Mac and Rhett. It is fantastic stuff.
Be tuned in.